Hi and welcome to this video from tvtrade.ie. In this tutorial we're going to show you how to, the tips and tricks to get the best out of your external hard drive when using it with a PVR, either satellite receiver or terrestrial receiver, okay? A lot of these receivers these days come with a USB port which you can hook up an external hard drive to, for recording purposes or stuff like that, or even to use as a media player. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few things here just to show you a few tips and tricks that will help you get the best out of your drive and prolong its life, and so you won't run into any problems and things like that. Okay, the first thing to realize anyway, basically, when you plug in your external hard drive into your receiver, is that it may or may not be recognized depending on the box itself. Most boxes will recognize FAT32 and NTFS type hard drives, but some boxes will only recognize FAT32 file systems on the external hard drive. Okay, and there's another video there if you search the blog showing you how you'll convert from NTFS to FAT32 if that's the case. Okay, so once you have all that and that's all out of the way, the first thing to realize is that if you're recording HD content on your hard drive, roughly speaking, the general rule is that it takes up about 4 gigabytes of space per hour. Okay, so you can do your own maths on that. If I had a 320 gigabyte hard drive, that'd mean about 80 hours of recording time. If I was just recording standard definition programs on the same 320 gigabyte hard drives, the general rule is that standard definition takes about 2 gigabytes of space per hour of recording. So in the case of the drive that I'm just talking about there, the 320 gigabyte drive, for example, that would be over 160 hours of recording time on the drive. Okay, so as I say, the best thing to do really is, if you can and you're able to, make the drive FAT32, and it, generally speaking, it will be compatible with all the boxes in our range. Okay, now here are some important tips basically for use with any boxes, not just ours but any PVR ready receivers. These rules will generally stand you in good stead. Okay, the first thing is that you should not mix and match content on the drive, and what I mean by that is, if you have a drive that you're going to use to hook up to one of these PVR ready receivers, you should only use it for recording purposes and nothing else. You shouldn't put your media files, like your films, your music, things like this, on it, as not your documents either, or anything like that. Okay, should only use it for the recording purposes. The nature of these PVR ready receivers is that they can get a bit conflustered, for want of a better word, if there's a lot of stuff on the drive of different types. So you're better off to just use it alone for this purpose. Okay, now the next thing, which actually is really important for the life of your drive and the integrity of it, is that you should never ever plug out the external hard drive when the box is turned on. Okay, that's an absolute no-no. Okay, what you want to do is, you have two options. You can either, if the box allows it in the menu, there's sometimes, not always, but sometimes there's a button or an option in the menu to say to shut down the external hard drive or close it or something like that. And basically what it'll do is it'll shut it down properly, and it will it'll then tell you basically you can pull it out safely. Okay, the reason this is that there's little heads on an arm inside the hard drive, and basically if they're sitting over the drive when you just pull the plug, they fall on the drive. Now that by itself mightn't be the worst thing in the world, but I can tell you, when a drive is plugged in again to start up at 5400 RPM, a little magnetic head sitting on a piece of metal, you can picture what's going to happen there. So it's just never pull it out without the power being off. If the box, the PVR ready box, doesn't have an option in the menu to let you safely remove the drive while the box is powered on, what you need to do is you need to power the box down. And what I mean by that is, you need to hit the button on the remote to put it in standby. Okay, and Ideally then what you do is you turn off the power on the box after that, wait a few seconds, and then pull out your external hard drive. Okay, and if you follow that procedure, you should extend the life of your drive by no end. Okay, now the next thing to do is a little tip is that if you're doing this, it's more or less in the same line of not putting loads of different types of things on it. Is you probably shouldn't use the drive with other types of boxes as well. Okay, you should only use it for that particular box you have. We'll say for argument's sake here, if I have just go over here to the DTV M5, if you've a drive that you're using on that for recordings, you shouldn't, for example, then pull it out periodically and use it, for example, with the Zorro 3500. Okay, it should be dedicated just for the one box. Okay, so that's fair enough. Another thing you should consider is that periodically, and it's again with the whole thing that the PVR Ready receivers don't really like the whole drive being clogged up and things like that, is that you should consider transferring your recordings off the drive and backing them up elsewhere, like on your PC or laptop. Okay, now I've another video showing how to do that, and you can check that out in the blog as well. And when you have that done, you should wipe the drive and maybe format it again to FAT32 just to keep it in good order. It's been our experience when the drives get all clogged up and there's just tons of stuff on them that they don't work as well as when there's, you know, a lesser amount of stuff on it. Okay, and the last thing that I just want to talk about in this series then is not specifically an external hard drive, but as regards USB memory sticks, is that you should be careful when using these with PVR Ready receivers. Obviously the size of them is a factor, and you can see from what I said earlier on in the video that a HD recording takes 4 gigabytes of space per hour, and a standard definition takes 2 gigabytes of space per hour. Now if you have a small external memory stick like 2 or 4 gigabytes, well, you're not going to get much recording on it now, to be honest. You know, you can go for the larger ones, but if you're going to use an external, or sorry, a USB memory stick, what you should do is make sure that it's a fast external memory stick, because some of the slower ones, you can get errors on the PVR Ready receiver saying that, you know, the drive isn't quick enough or something like that. And what will happen then is sometimes if you're recording or you're playing back on the receiver, it'll appear choppy or stuff like that, and that's basically just because the USB external or the USB drive isn't fast enough. But you won't get this problem, generally speaking, with an external hard drive, because they are fast enough and the transfer rates on them are good. Okay,